that we were already into, that is types of writing. I would just like to know from some of you, I'll just tell you who all, and about yesterday. We did, what topic did we do yesterday? Can anybody tell me?
Ma'am,
What is the thing
Ma'am,
that
we
we...
nominalization.
did nominalization.
Nominalization.
Okay. So nominalization is what we have done yesterday. And can just raise your hand, anybody who can tell me what is nominalization and with a one odd example. Yeah, why only Kanakpita? I know she does her homework very well. Anybody else? Anybody else? Yeah, Linoy, Sahil. I'm sure you were there. Problem here. Bhavya. Okay, Bhavya Mishra. Please tell me. Read
Ma'am,
the book,
normalize.
at least the copy that you had, at least read it. You must have jotted down somewhere. Vanshika has also raised her hand. Yeah, Bhavya, tell me.
Ma'am, nominalization is the process when we turn verbs or adjectives into nouns or noun phrases.
Very good. Give me an example.
Ma'am, for example, available. Ma'am,
Hmm.
the adjective is available and we turn it into a noun that is availability.
Very good. Oh, great.
And ma'am,
Huh?
for example, we'll take a verb that is demonstrate. When we convert
Mhm.
it into a noun, it's demonstration.
Very good. Excellent. So now, Drishan, what about you? You have raised your hand and I'm really happy to see that. Tell me.
Ma'am, I was just wanting to give some more examples.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Ma'am, like conclude, which we turn
Mhm.
into conclusion,
Mhm.
and hence can be used in many.
Very good. Very nice. Yeah,
And
that.
civilized, civilized, and then civilization.
Okay. Okay. So the forms also, in fact, if you remember the last part, the assignment part which I told you, you have to make 10 of this and 10 of the verb. Verb and adjective, 10, 10 you have to make. Anybody who's done it, any one of you who bothered to at least do that? None? Okay. So what you will do is you will complete this. The whole week you have. Next week I'm not going to spare that, okay, this is over. So all of you will make at least 10 10 of each. That is 10 of verb and 10 of adjective. Yeah, Vanshika, you raised your hand. You want to give some more examples? Most welcome.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
can you share the PDF of notice writing because I have not joined school by that time and I want to complete that.
Sure. Sure. 100%. Today only I'll do that. If by chance, because today I have the whole day I have got classes, by chance I forget, you're going to give me a message on my um, mm, that what do you call number, and then immediately I'll
Okay,
do it.
ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yes.
please share the exercise of normalization as well.
Yesterday I did, beta. I did. Just check the group. Are you there in the group?
Ma'am, they are in the group.
Yes. So
Ma'am,
just check. Huh?
I
Yes.
guess you had to send the exercise. It was just the type of writing and the summer of beautiful white horse.
Better just check. I'm just seeing right now also. 1 minute. Let me see. Immediately I'll send. Okay. Good, you reminded me of this. Okay. Now we are going to do something very, very important and important in every sense of the term. Because why? Because first of all, which is your concern most of the time, that what will be whether it's important as far as exam point of view is concerned. So then also it is very important. And the main reason why we teach you is that you come to differentiate different types of writing. When see in English language, when we are doing English language and literature, there are few things which are very integral. One is reading, writing, and of course speaking. When you speak, so every aspect we cover. When we are doing this, we cover every aspect. Now, this part of writing, if we do, majority of the time you'll see you are writing an essay, you are writing an article, you are writing a report, you are writing short stories, you are writing poems, you are writing so many things. So what kind of and how are you going to write? These are the few things that go to help you. And that is why it is important. You'll get to differentiate. So there are different types of writing. Like I had said yesterday, I'll just share the PDF again. That is, you have narrative writing, you have descriptive writing, you have expository, you have persuasive, and all that. Creative is also a part. So all these things are there, and we must know them to understand how to write and how to differentiate. In fact, how to become a good writer, provided you take up those science students. I don't know whether it's there in your mind, but if at all, even you cannot go untouched if you don't know how to write properly. Even I don't think so. Even it is possible in science subjects as well. You have to have a language to communicate and to write, and that is why these are things which are the reason why we do is, like I said, in order to become a good writer, even fun writer. See, for example, nowadays you guys are into, I've seen majority of you writing in blogs, you have Instagram also, I've seen, you have your small, at times children have Twitter pages and all. Some of you contribute into the news feed. These are the language which you guys use very often. And, uh, if you don't know the language properly, you don't know how to write it, the very purpose is lost. For example, even on Instagram, I have seen that it's basically through pictures, through some memes, and some nice quotations, you communicate with your friends and family. Now, if you're not good with your language part of it, how do you think you are going to do it? Sometimes uh, I shouldn't be saying this, but it's the fact that when your language is not right, you make yourself a center of being the joke or mockery. People laugh at that, oh God, he can't even convey properly. So this is very much required, that how effectively, how beautifully can you write. And that is why writing comes in the picture. And that is why, in fact, we teach you writing skills. In fact, now Bhavya, I think, asked me, ma'am, send me the notice writing thing. You will require it. Tomorrow, when you guys become something, you become engineers, the prospective engineers that we are looking into you would need this. You would know how will you write your papers, research, and all that. So that is why this is mandatory. This is required. Now coming to just let me
On
see
the
now.
topic of writing, I would like to ask one question. What do you mean by a syllable?
What happened? Who's
No,
this?
I had just one question.
Yeah, yeah.
Ma'am, what do you mean by a syllable in English?
What? Why do you need this? First of all, why did you ask such a question? Why
Ma'am,
did it come to your mind?
I have found it in many novels. But
In many novels. And what kind of knowledge? That's really nice. I will tell you what is syllable, but tell me what kind of novels do you read?
ma'am, I was reading the Oliver
Tell me.
Twist and the 13 Reasons Why by J.A. Shaw.
Okay. And what kind of like what kind of books do you read?
Mysteries and
Mystery. Oh, that's
detective.
really good. That's
detective.
really good. Okay. Uh, Generally, with a syllable, when do we use it? If you see 1 minute, like for example, sound. You know, like when you there are few a word or a like the words which contain a sound, a vowel sound, particularly a vowel sound. The pronunciation is with a vowel. That is what we refer to as syllable. So when you use those kind of things in literature, when you are writing, that is where when you use a vowel sound kind of entire stress is on
Syllable.
vowel. That is the syllable. So when you're reading these kind of mystery novels and all, they stress on these kind of sounds, these kind of vowel sounds particularly. That is it. I hope I made sense to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Now anybody? Yeah, let's start with the But good. I'm really happy. Now, in fact, one of you yesterday told me, ma'am, how should I improve my speaking skills? Because that poor guy, he felt that when he spoke, he wasn't very good in his language. Now, beta, this suggestion is for each one of you, not just him. It's for each one of you. Like Drishan, all of you start reading novels. Your vocabulary improves a lot, and also listen to these DDC modules which are available. When you go to you guys are more you're more tech savvy and all that. When you
Ma'am,
open
these days I read so many novels to improve my vocabulary.
like what have you read recently?
Ma'am, I have read the Marvel comics like.
Okay, okay. In fact, like if you read a few novels about today's time, like anything that is happening right now. In fact, how many of you know what is the secret service agency that works in Israel? Anybody? Mossad. Okay, who said that? Arab. The operation of joining the forces. Yes. So there is a book on Mossad. I'm sure the boys and the girls also, because I loved it. Please read this novel. In fact, it's very good. It talks about how the operations are done. In fact, better let's discuss when we are doing about writing. It's good that you took up this topic. If it interests you, there is a movie also which was made. It's like if you have heard the name of Benjamin Netanyahu. Have you heard his name? Anyone? Very good. So his brother, there was a complete, operation which was done NKB. NKB. I hope you can remember. In fact, I'll send you the link. If any one of you are interested, watch that documentary, watch that movie. It's called NKB. Fine. It talks about how a rescue happened in African country where Amin Abi Amin, if you remember his name, he was a dictator. How he had captured a few passengers of aircraft, and they were all Jews, and segregated them, and then took away the Israelis and all that, and how the operation was done. That is what it was about. You can watch that, you can get a lot of things. And the same thing is written. It's a novel as well. The Mission Entebbe or something like that is called. I'll just confirm you. So these kind of things you can read. There is about this Mossad. In fact, that is what the people who rescued the people later. In fact, if you've heard about Olympics, there was once the Olympics which was held, and the entire team that was there of 19. No, better not Beijing.
From the
Not
Wraith
Beijing.
of God operation.
Okay. Montreal. Good. Yeah. So Montreal Olympics, when it was held, the entire team was eliminated. And how it happened, in fact, uh, if you have heard or not, I don't know, the lady who ruled then, Israel, and any idea, and there's only one woman. She's known as the Iron Woman of Israel. Anybody? Rishan, Arav, both of you are interested, it looks. Read about her. Golda Meir is the lady, and how she handled the entire thing, how she took each person who was responsible for it, and all that. So you can read about it. These are all there, and these make interesting reading. This can help you. And if you are interested, that is good. If you're not, in fact, if you take it just as the content and you need it later, maybe in your when you appear for some entrance and all, it definitely would go along to help. Yeah. So please read. The book is also, like I have already mentioned, read the book Mossad. That is good. Read about Entebbe, the entire operation which happened. And there are so many novels. In fact, during In the beginning, I had sent you a few books. In fact, whether you've seen or not, I'll repeat it.
Ma'am, in the holiday homework you have mentioned
Yes,
in.
yes. So read them. You'll really get a hold of it. And those things. Now, coming back to our topic, you must have thought I kind of diverted from the whole thing. No, it is all these fictions, non-fictions, novels, short stories. This is exactly what we are talking about today in the class. Today we are going to discuss all those things. Like for example, when we are talking about narrative style of writing, we are talking about storytelling, okay? About the character, the details of the character. When we are talking about, you can say, expository type of writing, we are talking about your kind of thing, Twitter, Instagram, newsfeed, the report writing and all that. When I'm talking about narrative writing, again, I come back to that. We are talking about novels, short stories, memoirs, and all that. When I'm talking about descriptive type of writing, I'm talking about fiction, I'm talking about poems, I'm talking about lyrics. Those are all descriptive way of doing it. Now, when I'm talking, there are so many other ways. And when I'm talking about persuasive writing, it's more to do with the debate part of it. I'm trying to convince somebody, those kind of. I hope I made sense a little. Now let's get back to the chapter. That just a second. Yeah, types of writing. Is it visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, yesterday we had done the reading. Now I'm going to do one by one explanation. Types of writing. Now, the first one is narrative. We come to this, like I have just mentioned to you right now. And I just, in brief, if I have to explain with this entire paragraph, if I just sum it up, I would say that narrative type of writing is anything that happens to a character. Meaning, suppose there is a character in a story. For example, let's take our own chapter, which we have already done, that is the portrait of a lady. There, the description is very vivid. If you see the description, in fact, the very next page, that is the second page of the chapter, there's a complete description. It's a complete, picture, the storytelling. You can see how beautifully they have described. So, now, what am I using? The second word, describe, describing, descriptive. So, it is not that you can use all of them separately. At times, all can be together. What I'm saying is, all types of writing can be used together in one piece. It's not as if very differently compartmentalizing you can do. You can very well, take everything together. That is also there. Sometimes, suppose for example, I'm writing something, I'm using all forms of writing. So that is also possible. But when I'm talking about narrative type of writing, what I'm talking about is my personal experience. It's actually a form of storytelling where we have our own description to be given. Like we talk about the story, we kind of, detailed, vivid illustrations we give. Like here also I've written. Now coming to the beginning itself, paragraphs and essays can be written in different types of style. Type or style. A writer will choose a type depending on what he or she wishes to accomplish, what sort of material is to be discussed, and what kind of effect he or she wants to have on the reader. Generally speaking, there are four types of writing. So normally these types are mixed together. Like I said, these all can be together, they can be used together. In fact, here I'm talking about four types of writing. There is another one that is creative, where nowadays which we use more commonly, art integrated kind of things. So those things are also very much important nowadays. And by our own way of putting across things. So that is very creative way of putting. Now here we are dealing with just 4. Now coming to narrative. The narrative paragraph or essay tells a story just like a narrator in a play, though it should be a true story, unlike a short story or a play. Narrative writing is best used to illustrate a personal developmental path a person, often yourself or herself, has taken to reach a particular point in his or her life. As a result, it
Excuse
is
me,
normally written in. Yes, sir?
ma'am, are you sharing screen?
Are you sharing?
Ma'am, are you sharing screen right now?
Yeah. Yes, beta. Why? Not visible to you?
I'm actually have no, ma'am, it wasn't visible to me. Ma'am, can you share it again?
Now is it visible?
No, ma'am.
Let me just go back again and anybody tell confirm? Is it visible to the rest of you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am, it is visible. Ma'am, it's visible.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am. Now it is.
Now it is visible?
Yes.
Just, yeah, good. Okay, now when we're talking about narrative style, coming to the next paragraph, as a result, it is normally written in a first person point of view. All of you know first person point of view, so it is referring in the first person. True narrative writing is unusual because it is demanding. A narrative must have a conflict that is to be overcome. This is the core of any narrative form of writing, be it a paragraph, an essay, or a story. In an essay, it usually means a single incident, anecdote, where the narrator experiences some brief challenge that is met and hopefully survived. This overcoming should in turn lead to some form of understanding. Simply, this kind of explaining and surrounding is not narrative. You need a brief establishment of setting and explanation of the challenge and the resolution of this challenge. In other words, you need a plot. Now, coming back to our own thing in very simple language, this is like these are all very, you might think it is complex, but it is not, but I can further explain it and make your tasks easier. It's like saying that uh, when I say in simple words, when do I use narrative writing? It is when I use storytelling. So many elements of storytelling. There are different elements of storytelling. Have you been taught earlier? What are the elements of storytelling? Because story writing was very important for you in 10th standard, if I'm not wrong. So what are the elements of storytelling? Can anybody tell me? Do you remember? What do we look for in a story?
An appropriate title.
Very good. Appropriate title, plot. What else? Very good. That comes much later. So basically say, tell, Arav, tell me. Yes, very good, very good. So you have plot, you have got character, you have got setting, you have conflict, you have emotion, and of course the message at the last. So these are the same things that we look for in a narrative writing. Fine. And please remember, in a narrative writing, you have a journey with a beginning, a middle, and an end. There is these three things are important. You cannot end abruptly. इधर उधर एंडिंग नहीं होगी. You have to beautifully turn it around. You have to have a beginning, meaning an introduction kind of thing. There should be a body, a text, a middle part, or and then finally the end, where you generally have your suggestions. You can say, you can have solutions, or maybe you give a proper ending, you justify the act and all that. In fact, the best examples of narrative writing types, which you can say, are novels, short stories, and memoirs. Can anybody tell me what is a memoir?
Don't you consider biographies and autobiographies to be one?
Beta, I'm just coming to that. Just first listen to me. Yeah, you are right, absolutely right. We'll come to that. But tell me, what is a memoir? Then it will be more clear. Tell me, what is a memoir, Dishan?
I suppose it has something to do with someone's memory.
Someone's memory? No, no. Tell me, anybody who has an idea? Aishwarya, Shreya, there's so many of you. Siddhant. Siddharth, please tell me, what is a memoir? Aryan, do you? Yeah, please do tell me.
I don't have an idea.
Okay. Anybody who's heard before, what is a memoir?
Ma'am, a preserved text.
Hmm? Hmm? Come again.
Ma'am, a preserved text.
A preserved text. Not completely, somewhere close, not very. But what is memoirs? I will not tell you now.
Ma'am, may I?
Yeah,
Ma'am, historical
yeah.
text.
Ma'am, it's a
Stop.
narrative written from one's own perspective about an important occasion in their life, or a historical
Yes,
account as well.
yes, yes, yes. Very close. Yes. Anybody who wants to elaborate on that? Kanak, what about you, beta? What is a memoir? In fact, Arav
Ma'am,
just
I don't know the exact meaning, but
hmm,
I once heard that Steve Jobs' daughter, she wrote a memoir for her father 30 years after, like years after his death. So I guess it's something like a biography written from a personal perspective.
okay,
Ma'am, a
okay,
historical text.
okay. Historical text. Okay, okay. Everything coming closer. We can combine all of them. Yeah. Anybody else who would like to put in?
Biography from personal knowledge.
Just a second. I'm not able to see who all are there. Just a second. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, Deshita, you answered well. Can you just repeat it again, beta? For the
Ma'am, I
class.
said that it is a narrative which is written, ma'am, from the the personal knowledge and the personal experience of the narrator. It could be of an
Okay. And
important part of their life or any historical account as well. From personal knowledge, basically.
mhm. Okay. Uh, I would take that as well. It is basically saying my meaning the person's what do you call the yes, I will combine. Who said historical account? Somebody, one of you said a historical account of a connect, I think. And who else? I think Aishwarya also said that, right?
Ma'am, Kanak said about biography, and I said about the historical text.
Yes. So combine both of them. It's basically saying something that has happened in the past, and it is like bringing back those things to today, bringing back those things today, and talking about those personal experiences which have taken place. Fine. So we combine Dishita, what she said, we combine Kanak, and we combine Aishwarya as well. Okay. So that is what it comes to. So talking about memoirs, novels, short stories. Now let me just share it again. Yeah. So this is what is the narrative style of writing. In fact, I repeat again just for the class that narrative writing, it uses many elements of storytelling such as plot, character, setting, conflict, emotion, the message, and like Arav said, climax, which is there, the end that is. And definitely there is going to be three parts of it. There should be a beginning, there should be a body, that is the main matter, that is the middle of the story, and of course there is a climax or there is a end. And it is very much clearly visible when we talk about novels, short stories, and memoirs. The personal experiences taken, like all these past memories which come, and we put them in writing. Now come the thing that has been written here. Now maybe one person, yeah, Siddharth, in fact, you said you didn't know that. Now tell me, uh, this entire part, the narrative paragraph or essay tells a story. This part, can you just explain to me? Then I'll know whether you've understood or not. Tell me what is narrative type of writing and give me a few examples. Yes?
Ma'am, like a story which is narrated by any other person
Hmm?
or an incident. If we say like uh, taking the example of the ball poem, the poet expresses the scene of how boy, saw the ball going down the valley and
Because that
we
could
take.
be descriptive. When we talk about all these things, it will come under the descriptive writing type. When we talk about narrative, what would be it? It talks about a story
Nelson
of,
Mandela. The
Ma'am, it's
portrait of a
about the
lady.
personal
yes,
experience of a person.
yes,
Purport.
yes. In fact, your previous chapter, if I take Nelson Mandela, I would include here the portrait of a lady, I would include. And what about the Summer of the Beautiful White Horse? What do you think about it? In what category does it fall?
Some narrative.
Yeah. What would you include in that?
Narrative.
Narrative. Okay. Do you think there is descriptive element as well? Have they
Yes,
mentioned a, yeah? We'll come to now descriptive. What is exactly descriptive writing? Now, in descriptive writing, it is very simply that you capture all the details of a person, of a place, or it's like as if all the nouns, you capture all the essence of like what kind of things have been used in a narrative writing. Like, for example, it could be in fiction, it could be in poems, it could be in lyrics. So generally you notice them, the descriptive writing, you notice in fictions, you notice them in poems, you notice in lyrics. It can be English songs or Hindi songs. You notice them very easily. So complete description is there. Like very briefly, if I just give you an example, sometimes there is a description, there is a person, the lady is compared to all kinds of things. There is always that description that you are like a moon and you are like a star and all that, and that entire description is given, how is it and all that, and also the place is described. So for example, in Summer of the Beautiful White Horse, we can include both narrative way of writing and descriptive writing as well. So these two things are very much visible. It is a short story, no doubt. It is a fiction. It can be an autobiographical, but that we are assuming or whatever. And it can be like there are certain description of the place. You have seen how Olive Avenue and all that, San Joaquin Valley and all that have been described. The orchards, all those ditches and all that has been described, including Uncle Khoshrov's character, Murad's character, and all that have been described. So both the intermingling of narrative type and descriptive type is done in that. Right? Now, in descriptive writing paints a picture in its pure form. Nothing much happens. Description tells us what something looks like, feels like, tastes like, sounds like, or smells like, without action or events. It doesn't explain a relationship or a process beyond oneself. It focuses on one's immediate subjective perception. Thus, descriptive writing connects the outer world with our inner feelings. It is usually concerned with creating a verbal picture of what we experience and feel at one moment, and it will use many rich and vivid adjectives and adverbs. So, as a writer, you should make the reader long to smell the rich essence of the trees, the haunting call of the wolves, or the rank odor of the sewer. It's that what you are writing about. Now, you just go back to the summer of the beautiful white horse. You remember how the orchards have been described, how the character of Uncle Khosrow, those bad tempered and irritable mood and all that, those adjectives have been described. You see how beautifully those things have been used, and that is why I said descriptive writing or descriptive paragraphs are there. Now, that's what you are writing about. Descriptive paragraphs and essays are usually written in the first person point of view. You remember Aram's character. Aram is describing, he's narrating the whole thing, and are much more emotional and personal than expository writing. It should be said that you will rarely write a purely descriptive passage. Normally speaking, descriptive writing is mixed with other styles as a supplement. So, like I said, you have narrative writing, you have descriptive writing, you have persuasive writing. All can be mingled. It can be together. That is what I'm talking about. Now, coming to expository writing. Expository writing means exposes or explains or teaches anything related to teaching, propagating, or you can say writing about a particular or description of a certain accident or event that is being done. Like also I mentioned the Twitter updates which are available, the news feeds that are there. You have your Instagram, those feeds and all, very recent update and all that, and explained something in detail. That is what is expository writing. And it is
Ma'am,
also
example can be taken as ball poem. Like we
uh, in descriptive. In descriptive. In ball poem, what did you say? Tell me what was the ball poem all about, beta? Tell me. Then I'll tell you the example. Yeah.
now like the poet saw a child like watching his ball going down the lane, and
Mm-hmm.
then it like disappeared from his eyes. He lost that ball. Then he
Mm-hmm.
thought that he wondered that boy would be thinking that all these materialistic things are just temporary. One
Mm-hmm.
goes and he will buy another one, but he will not get the earlier one which he had already lost.
Mm-hmm. So
So,
it's purely description. How does it go? Where does it go? Which person is using it? Which place is it going? So obviously it is descriptive. It is capturing every detail of a person, place, or a scene. What is happening at that particular place? That is what it is describing. So it is ball poem is completely descriptive. Fine. Expository is more to do with the debating, convincing, that kind of thing. Like uh, explaining, teaching. These are the words which you use with expository. You can write it down somewhere. Expository means to teach, to explain, to expose. So basically in expository, you give the example of report writing. We'll teach you report writing also, but I'm sure you must have heard it earlier. You in report writing, you talk about any event that has taken place, or you talk about any accident that has taken place. There are two different types which are explained, and it is mostly in reported speech. That is, you write in past an event that has happened, an accident that has happened, so you're giving an account of that, and that is expository writing. In why did I say Twitter updates? Because there are news items which are happening in every day. They are describing that. So this is what is expository writing. Now, I had asked you also to read it. In fact, I had asked you to get your examples also done in this. Now, coming to the last one, that is persuasive writing. This type of writing is probably the most common form of writing at the university level. This is mostly when we talk about, very debatable kind of thing. You question something, you give your point of view, you put across your view to somebody else, you try to convince the reader. That is when you use this kind of a writing, that is persuasive writing. For example, non-fictions, non-fictions are there. Can somebody tell me, give me an example of non-fiction, beta? Any non-fiction that you have read? Anyone?
Ma'am, any autobiography?
Loudly, beta, I couldn't hear you.
Ma'am, any autobiography?
Any autobiography? Yes, yes. So non-fiction, when we are talking about, it is persuasive. It is trying to put across your point of view to somebody else. It's like, I persuade, please listen, please see this, please read this. This is my point of view. That is what is persuasive writing. In fact, the speeches which are given, the speech which the people give, these are also persuasive writings. Then we talk about non-fiction, like I mentioned. We also like later, if you go for some university degree abroad or somewhere else, if you get a letter of recommendation from your school which talks about your accomplishments, your achievements till now, your whatever you have achieved, like in the sense academic, non-academic, and all these things are included in the letter of recommendation. That is also a persuasive way of writing. So this is the example. Now, when we come to the main definition, it is important that the author understand other sides of the topic so that the strongest information to counter the others can be presented. You may present these opposing points of view, but they must be summarized at the beginning and then quickly refuted. Refuted means to differ, to you counter check somebody, prove that it is false or it is particularly important. So if you are not sure how to do this, then simply stick to your side of an argument. While persuasive writing attempts to prove your point of view, it's usually written in an objective, third person point of view. Such a stance helps demonstrate your objective. It should be noted that argumentative writing is said by some to be more rational and empirical, that is based on facts, whereas persuasive writing will often use emotional appeals, like in speeches and all. You must be noticing very emotionally people try to woo the voter and get him to your side and all that, to manipulate the reader's sympathy. However, most writing experts view the two terms as synonymous. Few essays are so coldly dispassionate that they will not use strong and loaded language to win an argument. And analytical facts are always a good way to persuade the reader of one side over another. So in simple words, in few words, if I put it, it is basically getting your point of view across to somebody else, or convincing the reader of something that you have written. It is basically, it is visible in non-fictions, speeches, letters of recommendations, and all these kind of things. So these are the four things that we have discussed. And like I said, there is the fifth one, that is creative writing as well. But here mostly these are very important. Fine. Anything, Bita? All of you, have you understood a little bit at least? Because once you go through it once again, you will have a clearer picture. But the four things, one is narrative, basically a personal experience of a person or storytelling. Descriptive, basically meaning that capturing every detail of a person, place, or scene. And then you have the expository writing, that is basically to explain, to teach one's point of view, and it is visible in report writing, especially the accidents or events that take place, the Twitter updates that are there, the news feeds which come every an hour or so, or basically in simple word explaining something. Then you have persuasive writing. In persuasive writing, it talks about generally argumentative, or getting your point across, or convincing the reader that whatever you have written is right. And this is mainly included in non-fictions, letter of recommendations, speeches, and all that. Then you finally, like we talk about persuasive, if I give you an example, if there is a debate, So it could be the best example which we serve. Like for example, should there be school uniforms, or should it be made mandatory, or school uniforms should not be required? It's a debatable type of thing. If you put it across, these all come under persuasive writing skills. Fine. So 4 of them are there. Kanaka, have you understood better? Yeah. Akanksha, have you understood at least a little better? Arav, am I audible, all of you? Is it
Yes,
understood
ma'am.
whatever I said?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am. Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
Akshita, you have also understood? Okay, good. So I'll leave you 5 minutes before, and I'll send across even a nominalization that is equally important for your exam. Do it properly and notice writing like somebody mentioned. I'm just sending it across. Okay. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, ma'am.